Hello, it's me again. So I actually decided to do a separate video. I just got done repotting my plants there. But as you know, my squash died, so I have to plant some more. So I decided, hey, I'm gonna do another video on that just to talk a little bit about plant germination and what I've learned. But yep, this one here, this is my handy dandy seed bank. I used to make it a hobby that when I was doing the whole, plant-based veganism thing and everything like that, I would save the seeds from a lot of the other plants and stuff that I eat. I eat anything from like apples and squash and just the whole 9 yards. So in here I actually have lemons, gala apples, red and green peppers, cherries, blue and black berries, jackfruit seeds, tomato seeds, watermelon seeds. I have like so many seeds, and I actually made it a hobby of mine to just save them. But I also not only like store-bought food that I would save the seeds from, I would also just buy some little packaged seeds and whatnot, try to germinate those. But these are actually all from watermelon, which there's a myth going by that fruits and vegetables that's been in the freezer or the refrigerator, you cannot like replant them because they won't plant. Well, that's certainly not true, because even out there in the wild, like even if some of these may be hybrid plants, they still have a cycle that they have to go through. They're still a part of the world. They're still sensitive to temperature and everything. So they just won't grow in the cold, but they can absolutely be preserved in the cold. The cold doesn't necessarily kill them unless they sprout into an actual plant and it's too young for them. Like so my corn here can't go outside right now because it's a little too cold out there. It has to be at least 60 degrees up, that they'll die. But seeds actually have a cycle. The cold kind of preserves them, and this is something that's just hardwired from nature. So it's not like you can just trick a seed so much into growing in the winter time. It's just not going to happen, because that cycle has to be completed before they can start sprouting. So what I like to do sometimes is, especially for some of my fruits and vegetables that may grow in colder climates, I will put them in the freezer just to kind of help break that cycle a little earlier. And then I would plant them from there. Some of the methods that I use, which I'm going to use for the squash today, have my zucchini here, the summer squash. We have the winter squash, which I still have one more of those. It's over there. Some of the other ones rotted out, but they have a long shelf life. These here, I didn't quite like them that much. They're spaghetti squash. I didn't know what they were at first, but they're okay. But I planted these last year. They're pretty good. Have these red cherry tomatoes. These are kind of like the binding ones. I don't plant these because I don't want just this whole everything growing, and I'm already pissing off the apartment people with my garden, so whatever. I don't want to piss them off even more with them just binding everywhere on their stuff, so I have held off on planting those. These are actually the squash, which, you know what? They're a straight neck, actually. I thought they were crook neck. Yeah, silly me. Okay, they're not the crook neck squash. These are the straight neck squash. But either way, they're squash. I like them with the zucchini. I like to steam them. So these are heirloom, non-GMO, which I just have to trust the packaging on this. But I'm gonna plant probably I like to plant more just in case some of them die. And at least I'll have some, because some they probably will die, maybe not perform that well, or they will do very well. So I will pick the ones that are doing very well to invest more energy and time into, and hopefully they grow up into a better stock. So I like to plant more, rather have a lot than not enough. So I think I'm gonna plant, last time I planted 8, I think I'm gonna do that same thing again, and I am going to use the soak method as well as scarification. Now what scarification is when you take the casing of the seed, and I like to do this with some of the ones that have hard casings, such as like the cherries, which cherries require a lot of grafting. I saved some cherry seeds, and they have blossomed, but they don't do so well when they get ready to grow, because with that, there's cherries these days, they have to go through a lot of different process. I'm not so much familiar with that. If you are, leave a comment about it. But it's a process called grafting, where they take something from another plant and plant it in the other. I don't know, it's some whatever. So, but I still just have them just for the fun of them. But for harder case seeds like that, I would use the scarification method, because it's easier for nutrients from the soil as well as water to penetrate into the inner seed. Now, if you are familiar with the anatomy of a seed, like I said, seeds aren't stupid. They have a season and when they have to grow. So what you can do to kind of trick that process is put them in the freezer. That way, you know, it kind of tricks the cycle a little bit to be like, okay, I've been through the cold weather, now it's time to blossom. It doesn't always work, but it is a great way. Also, it's a great way to preserve seeds. I know somewhere in the world, I can't quite remember, I think it may be Denmark, but it's one of those colder climates. They have a seed vault with all of the seeds from every plant, rare and common, in this vault. So in case the world were to go through some type of Armageddon and everything were to like die, you know, they would have these seeds to repopulate the earth with, just in case some of the plant life die. But it is in a cold climate, and this is to preserve the seeds. Cold weather is great for preserving things. That's why you find so many, you know, lost artifacts perfectly intact in colder weather. But going back, it doesn't so much kill the seed as it does just, you know, slow the process. Now, it could if it's a tropical seed, but, you know, it probably is only so much it can take, but whatever. But the casing is the outer lining of the seed, and inside you have the kind of like the yolk and the embryo. The embryo is kind of really small, but the rest of this stuff is what's going to feed that embryo into growing into an actual plant. So in order to let nutrients from the soil and sunlight penetrate, or not just sunlight, water penetrate into that faster, you would just take something sharp, nothing too drastic, you know, nothing bad. I have these tweezers right here. That's enough for the seed right here. And you would just kind of pinch the top off just a little bit. I think that's just about enough. If you could see it, it is just enough exposed. I don't want to, you know, too much damage the seed, but just take that casing and peel it back a little. Now another method that you can do, so that's one of my seeds there, and I will do at least you know, I think I'm gonna do 2 more like that, or actually 1 more like that, and I'm going to soak the other 4 and then I'll just do the dry method with the other 2. I think that'd be good. Yeah, so I have 2 scarifications, and then I'll just select the ones I think is good enough for the drying method here. I think these can go just raw, plant them right into the dirt and just let it happen naturally without any type of, you know, manipulation. So I think those will be my drying. And these 4 I will do as a soak method. Now basically what the soak method is like, when you stay in the pool too long and, you know, you start to prune, well, that kind of, you know, helps speed along with the plant, with the seed right here. So the casing starts to swell with water, and that helps activate the you know, the core of the seed there and get it going. That's what I had to do for the corn, and it actually grew faster than the corn that I just put you know, just right there in the soil. So these will be soaking for about 24 hours in this little cup here, same little cup. Just fill it a little bit with water, nothing special. Soak them 24 hours. They will float, but when they're ready, they'll kind of sink to the bottom. And I also had to kind of make repairs to this one, or some improvements rather, to, you know, my makeshift flower pot that I like to be resourceful with, which is really just a water bottle. But I noticed that I didn't quite put enough holes at the bottom. Now there are holes at the side here, and that's fine, but seeds also can be very fragile to water, so, and plants in general. So if you overwater them, it damages the roots. That causes the roots to kind of deteriorate. So especially if the water has nowhere to go, you just don't want your plant sitting in water, okay? It's gonna kind of do the same thing. It's gonna swell with water, flood out, and then that damages the cells of the roots and everything. So some plants don't do very well in, you know, soaked soil. Some are very particular, such as avocados. I have germinated avocados before. If you've seen the seed, of course, everybody should have. They're huge. Those seeds actually are the ones that I put in the freezer. Not that I would really have to, but I noticed that it does kind of break the cycle. I actually planted one in my strawberry bin one day and just left it there, forgot it was there. And when I was changing out the soil, I noticed that it was sprouting. So I was like, oh wow, I sprouted an avocado. But of course, being here in Georgia, the weather doesn't stay as consistent as it does like for the ones that are growing in the tropical region. So it died, but it was fun. Still, I know that I can germinate avocados. Great. Moving on. So yeah, I just have to make some improvements to this so that the water can effectively drain from the bottom, because I noticed that when I was pulling it out, the soil, and I haven't watered these in days, but the water was just, you know, like soaking the soil, and that's probably what happened. Actually, I didn't even find the casing of the seeds that I put in there. I was like, I could have sworn I put 4 of them in there, but I didn't. Well, I did actually, but they deteriorated. So that's what happened, and why one of them didn't sprout. The other ones were halfway sprouted, which was this one. Because I had one slit at the bottom for the water to drain. See, my thing is, I want just enough water in here to keep them moist, but not so much as to drown them out. So I had to cut some more holes in it. So hopefully this time they'll do a lot better. I will actually put them, trying to figure out which ones I want in which. I have these biodegradable trays here, and I will probably end up putting all of the soaked ones in this, and I will put 2 each of the other ones in this one, and I'll just label which one is which so I can know which method actually grew better, or you know, performed better than the other. So it's just something that I do, kind of fun to see, and what works better for certain plants, because not all of them are the same. And yeah, so go fill this with water. So I don't have to put a whole lot, just enough. And there we go. That should be more than enough. As you can see here, they're floating right now, but within 24 hours, they will actually sink to the bottom when they are filling with water. I went ahead, put those in there. We have the scarification one that I peeled just a little bit off the top to expose the inside of it. This is going to allow it, of course, just enough nutrients to get in and start that process. I labeled it already so that I can know which one is which, but I put 2 of the 8 in here, 2 of the 8 in here, and then the other 4 are soaking in that little bit. Those are going to be the wet method. These, oh yeah, the regular These are the regular, so I didn't do anything to these. They're just gonna grow as normal. But for each one of these pots right here, you don't want to put your seeds so far down in there, because what's going to happen is that when you put water in there, of course it's going to be just soaking in the water there. You want to fill this portion at least 80% of the bottle with soil first, and then you want to put the seeds on top of that, and the other 20 right here at the top. This will allow just enough sunlight and air to circulate through to the seeds, so that when the seeds start growing, the roots can go down towards the bottom here, and that'll all be roots room, while the rest of the seed is going upwards, because the sunlight actually triggers the plant to grow upwards, not downwards. That's why you can just put seeds in any kind of way, and they'll always find their way up to the top. I have seen, and that's the interesting thing about these clear containers, or any type of clear pot, you can see how the seed is growing. So I've actually seen it to where they'll come out from the bottom, but they'll still turn themselves upright and go in the direction of the sunlight. Even my plants here, before I repotted them, they were growing towards the sunlight. That's because they're trying to get that nutrients from the sun, so they can, you know, do photosynthesis type stuff. All right, so we have the scarification. And I should just remember, because, you know, one is longer than the other, and the regular, but labels, they still help. All right, but I will put them over here with the rest of them, and they can live out their happy days until I'm ready to transport them outside. But yeah, these here, see, labels. I didn't even label this, and I don't know what it is. I'm like, what are these? I think these may be tomato seeds though. Yeah, whatever. But if you are gonna save seeds, like I have right here, I have these little containers. You might want to put some holes in the top. This will keep air circulating inside, because what's going to happen if you, especially if you store them in like a moist area. I have mine in this little container in the closet, but if it gets hot in the closet, water or moisture seeps in, and you know, it's going to deteriorate the seeds. They're going to die. So if you're going to store them like this, just make sure you put some holes in it, so that, you know, air can continue to circulate, and it'll keep it preserved. I mean, you don't have to do anything fancy. I would recommend, you know, trying some things out with some of your favorite fruits and vegetables. And the best part is, a lot of this stuff is free. I love free. I mean, you can't get, if you're gonna buy fruits and vegetables anyway, you might as well go the extra step, you know, save the seeds from it. Personally, actually, the only seeds that I have had problems germinating are blueberries and strawberries, blackberries. So I'm not sure where I'm going wrong with those, but yeah, blueberries especially. Like, I want to grow a blueberry tree, but it's like so crazy hard. So I just end up buying those, as well as strawberries. You know, but those are like the only seeds of foods that or plants that I do eat that I can't save and I can't germinate. So yeah, one of the ones that's not in my seed bowl. Watermelon, however, it's a different story. I can germinate these like with no problem. Watermelon, it's one of the few plants that you can really just throw out there and they'll do fine on their own. And I have dropped these by the trash can, and a week or so later, they're already like sprouting. And I'm like, yay! And I didn't have to do anything, but just drop them. So they're very easy, for me at least, to sprout, but not so easy to maintain, because watermelon, they take up a lot of space. I don't have the space for it, and I tried to put them in the trough. They did well for a minute, but then they just died. So, but I got these in case one day, you know, I do get my own little land garden, from my lips to God's ears, a house, you know. so that I can have a lot more space to do a lot more things that I want to do. So, but that's it for this video. Now you see my little seed vault and how I repot, you know, my plants. But yeah, I really don't know how or why. Nah, they escaped. I really don't know how or why. I just got interested in gardening. I guess like hunting and fishing, it just felt like something I need to do. But it's very therapeutic. It's very relaxing. It's something about just digging in the earth, or, you know, watching something grow and nurturing something that's going to eventually turn around and nurture you. That's refreshing. I like it. I really take pride in these self-sustainable lifestyle. You know, you don't have to always rely on something else to feed you. Anyway, if you liked the video, leave it a thumbs up, subscribe, hit that bell icon for more notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Alright guys, so it's just about a week after I blast planted these, and here are the results. So these are my summer squash, straight neck squash, and last night I came home, I noticed that these guys were peeking out of the soil. So these are the ones that I started with the soaked method. The ones here I started with scarification, and here are the regular. So as you can see, the regular has not sprouted yet, but I planted them the same exact day that I planted the ones that I did scarification. And that is just taking a pinch of the seed casing off and exposing the inner seed. But the ones here I soaked 24 hours before, so I actually planted them a day after, and it seemed as though the scarification as well as the soaked, they sprouted pretty much around the same time, I would say. Actually, I saw the soaked before I saw the ones that I started with scarification. The regular, meaning I just put the seed in the soil and watered it, it has yet to sprout, but it should be any day now or so. I'm gonna see what's going on with that, but it's pretty much just in time. The other plants I plan to go ahead and plant outside starting maybe sometime next week. Getting the soil and the bins and everything there together. It should be alright. Last frost and everything should have passed, so it shouldn't be getting any colder anytime soon here in Georgia, but you never know. But I've already lost actually 2 of my corn plants from the last transfer. So they died out, and I lost 1 zucchini plant, also 2 tomato plants. So I'm dealing with a couple of them there. I still got a good handful, and you know, 5 out of the 8 corns that I transplanted, it should be fine, really. Actually, I think I lost, yeah, actually I lost 3. I say 5 because 1 looking like it's about to wither away, but it's still, actually, it's still going strong. So yeah, more like 6 really. But yeah, here is the result. So far so good. I planted 4 in here. I believe I planted 2 in here and 2 in here. I know for sure I did 4 here. Yeah, because I planted 8. Yeah, I planted 8 of these total, and I did 2 in the tall ones here, 2 each in the tall ones, and 4 in this one. So yeah, because I was like, out of that 8, you know, some of them are gonna survive, but pretty happy. I've used scarification and the soaked method way actually more than the regular method for many of the plants that I've planted way in the past, you know. And it's always turned out pretty well. So I have high hopes for this. They're just in time for the season. Things are warming up here, and it should be able to catch a lot of great sunlight and thrive this season. So I'll keep you updated, and thanks for watching. Just remember, stay wild.